Good morning, everyone. Jeff Iverson here with Micah Peterson, and we're here to talk about sports floors today. And Betco is offering for gym floors. It's that time of year, which means it's spring, and it'll soon be summer when we start talking about doing gym floors. So today we're going to talk about the fastest ways to coat gym floors. Betco has multiple products and multiple different processes and procedures. So we're going to turn over to Micah Peterson, and would ask that any questions that you have, if you would go ahead and type them in the Q&A, and we'll get to them towards the end. So with that, here's Micah.
Oh, hello, everyone. Good morning. Again, my name is Micah Peterson. I manage all the floor care products here at Betco, wood floor care, VCT, stone tile and grout, concrete, carpet, things like that. We are going to focus on sport zone products, and in particular, coating systems, and we'll talk a little bit about our products as well. So one of the things I want to go through the agenda real quick here, we're going to talk real quick, stepping back to what we really need to do, or what we're talking about when we coat gym floors, any type of coated surface, really. So a little bit of the background or history in recoating floors, what ways we can do it, and then we're going to jump into our coating systems. Game plan 1 that we call to the TyKote system, and then game plan 2, which is our scrub and recoat product that involves specialized equipment, pads, cleaners, and a process to get the coating job done. I'm going to jump into our products, our water-based finishes specifically. We have 4 of them, 2 1 component and 2 component. No oil-based products anymore for Betco. Talk about that a little bit as well. We'll revisit TyKote as a product. We will talk about it a lot as a system, and then we'll revisit it as a product. We'll talk about our maintenance products, IFT and Squeaky, and then I'll briefly touch on the gym show program and how it can help you in terms of expanding your gym floor offering. Lastly, I hope to leave some time for questions. Depending on how fast this goes, please put your questions up at the top, and we will get to them as we go through. With that, we'll get started and talk about what we're actually doing when we're talking about recoating a floor. Let's take a quick step back and talk about what really is important, and that is adhesion. What we want to do in whatever way that we recoat a floor is we want to make sure that our coating sticks to the previous coating layer. So how do we get good adhesion? Well, if we don't get good adhesion, we have things like that on the right where there's just a ton of peeling on the floor. We definitely don't want that at all. Historically, the most prevalent way to do this is to abrade the floor. You can braid the floor in many different ways. We can sand the floor, we can screen the floor. Lately, we can use maroon pads or SPP pads. What that's actually doing down there in the right corner is we are creating a scratch pattern or a more surface area as we abrade that floor, so that there's a lot more area for our coating to stick to. And the more area it has to stick to, the better it's going to stay around and not peel. For my VCT customers out there, this would probably be the exact opposite of burnishing a floor, where we're flattening the floor or making it as less amount of surface area as possible, so that we get a lot of gloss production. So on this part, we're going to drop the gloss as well. What are the pros to abrading a floor? Well, we increase the adhesion. We just talked about that. One, we also can remove any wear or imperfections in the floor. You're going to go to gym floors and you're going to find that there is dirt embedment and wear lanes and buried coating, buried black marks on the floor. We can, by removing some of the film, remove these imperfections. With that, we're removing some finished layer also off of the floor. That's going to help us with decreasing our possibilities for delamination. Lamination is a fancy term for intercoat failure. So if you have a lot of coats on top of the floor and you're starting to bury those coats, as the wood floor moves season to season, it's going to put stress on those coating layers, and it sometimes can pop in between. So you'll get a peeling that isn't on the substrate, it's more in between layers of coating. The fancy term for that's called delamination. As we remove layers of coating, we're going to lessen the chances for delamination to happen. Some of the cons with doing this are it is labor intensive. You got to have a lot of work to do it. It takes a while to do. You have to make sure that you use the right amount of pads and equipment. You can screen a floor and use the same screen for the whole entire floor. You're not going to get adhesion. So there is some sort of training that is required as well. It's going to extend your timeline. It's going to take quite a bit longer to screen a floor and it's going to produce a pile of dust, which means you're going to have to clean up quite a bit more as well. And that cleanup can take over the course of the day. You can clean it in the evening and then come back in the morning and have to re-tack and re-vacuum because all of that suspended particles went down on the floor again. And if you coat a floor that has a lot of dust on it, as many of you may know, you're going to make shiny dust. Lastly, as you dig into the floor, depending on how aggressive you have to get, you're going to require multiple coats. If you get really aggressive, you may need to put 3 coats down on the floor, which takes a lot of time, puts the gym out of service for quite some time as well. Another way in which to be able to achieve adhesion that the industry has come up with is a bridge coat between 2 coating layers. So if you have a coating on the floor and you don't want to abrade the coating, but you want something to stick, you get something that's sticky in between. So you can stick it to the substrate, you can also stick it to the top coat. Something like down there in the right corner. The industry has had these in the paint industry for a while as well. They're called primers, undercoats, things like that. It is basically a coat that ties in one coating into another. So it's funny that we would name our product that does this TyKote. All that's doing is giving us the chemical adhesion that we wanted in lieu of abrading the floor. TyKote specifically was designed with polymers in it that were designed to stick to PVC products. So commonly hard to stick to that kind of stuff to begin with. Some of the pros for using this type of tie-in coating system is that you don't have to abrade the floor, right? So you don't have any of those issues with time and materials in terms and equipment that are necessary to abrade a floor. Another thing is that it's dustless. We're not creating any dust. It's the reason we have to clean it as much. Fewer coats are needed. If I'm not abrading the floor, I don't have to put as many coats down to bury what I did to the floor to begin with. And then it's a bit of a less complicated system. There are some training things that need to be done with these types of systems, but it's generally less complicated. There's not a lot of specifics on how to be able to run the buffer at a certain way and clock it at 3 o'clock to make sure that you get the best cut and things like that. So it is a little less complicated process. Some of the cons are if you have dirt embedment, you're not going to remove it for the most part, right? If you have floors that are kind of beat up or have a loss of gloss, it's not going to bring them back as well. There are application-specific processes to this, meaning that you have to do particular steps in the particular order to get success. And then lastly, obviously, we're adding more chemicals, not only cleaning chemicals and also the tie-in product as well to the floor. So there is a little bit more involved in using a tie-in system, but there's less prep work. I took this slide from our Betco brochure. I just wanted to show the overview of our 3 systems that we generally talk about. Game Plan 1, TyKote system, Game Plan 2, Scrub and Recoat, and then we do have a Game Plan 3, which is a screen and coat system. So that's the most aggressive. That's the standard abrading type method. I want you to notice that there we have listed advantages, some of the recommended applications of why you would use each system, what equipment is going to be necessary for that, recommended floor pads. They're different in different areas of the different programs that you use, what type of chemicals we're going to use for each system, and then the basic coating products that are needed. Little hint here, the basic coating products that are needed are all the same. At one point in time, when we did have oil-modified urethanes, you could use OMUs for the Game Plan 3 screen and recoat system. They don't work for the Scrub and Recoat and the TyKote system. Certainly not TyKote as well, and I would be reticent to have you use oil-modified urethanes for your Scrub and Recoats. But as we don't have them anymore, all of our products will work for any of these systems. We'll go into TyKote and Scrub and Recoat in detail, but as a quick reference guide, you can find these on our web or on the back of our brochure. So let's get into it. What is the TyKote system? It is our version of that technology that we discussed earlier about a tie-in coat. So we use the product specifically TyKote to bond one finish to another. Why would we use this? It's very easy to learn and use. It's dustless and it's a very fast system where you can get into a gym, clean it, put a coat down probably within a day if you're really good at it. You only need one coat for this type of system. You're not abrading anything, so you don't need to put another coat on the floor. It's very easy to learn as well. So these are one of the reasons why we've had some success, especially in the education vertical market, for this type of program where you need a minimal amount of equipment and a minimal amount of training, and you can be able to do a gym floor for yourself. What to look for in using the system is we want to make sure that the gym floor, before we decide to use the system, we want to make sure that the gym floor is acceptable for this system. What I mean by that is it needs to have minimal wear. We won't allow a lot of wear on the floor. If the finish is almost all gone off the floor and the gym hasn't been recoated in 10 years, manage expectations, and that prepping and coating one coat on this floor is not going to make this floor have the gloss that is expected. If there's wear on the floor, we're going to need to go to a more aggressive system. If there's peeling on the floor, now I know that this happens and there's several different degrees, but generally speaking, if the floor is peeling, we need to get more aggressive and remove whatever layer that is peeling and then put fresh coatings down on the floor. There are examples in times where we will go to floors that have very minimal peeling, or like maybe game line peeling or chipping on paint, or where somebody put a tape line down. There are ways in which to get around that, and if the customer is acceptable with doing that, talk to your Betco rep. They'll talk to me, or they'll know how to do it, and we can talk about ways to minimize that peeling and then continue to coat the floor. But generally speaking, with peeling, you want to avoid and get more aggressive. If there's moisture damage on the floor, cupping, crowning, you'll see this oftentimes in areas where the drinking fountain is at, or if they've had leaks. Those moisture areas have the ability to have issues with adhesion, so we kind of want to walk away from those and make sure they go to a more aggressive system to stick to those areas. It's not going to fix it by just cleaning with an auto scrub. And then if they have a lot of buried in black heel marks that they've gone over and coated before, even if we put maroon pads on this on the auto scrubber, it's not going to pull those out. So we'll need to know that we're not going to be able to remove those products or those black heel marks with these products. We'll have to get a little more aggressive. Once we've qualified the gym, I can talk real quick or a bit about the procedures involved with doing the TyKote method. I want to reiterate that we do have videos online. You can watch me do any one of these systems that we talk about. If you want a little more in-depth look at how we do it. For example, I'm just going to say at the end, apply the finish. There's a whole lot involved in applying finish that you can learn online, or you have to learn while doing it. But for this discussion, we're just talking about that. So procedures-wise, we're going to always, anytime we do anything with the floor, we're going to dust mop the floor, get any of that debris off the floor. And then we're going to clean the floor very well. You want to use an auto scrubber. You don't have to have head pressure on it. We're going to clean that floor with IFT at 4 ounces per gallon. IFT is a very highly solvent with some caustic or some alkalinity to it that's going to do very well on black heel marks. That's its job. One of the things you can do is look across the floor and find areas that have black heel marks. You can pre-spray them, let them soak a little bit, maybe even use a knockout pad to get them if they're a little difficult to get off. When you want to use IFT across the whole entire gym to clean the floor, to getting black marks, scuffs, and dirt that's kind of a topical dirt off the floor with your IFT. Very good cleaner. What we don't want to do is coat the floor with IFT. That alkalinity might cause some issues with our coating, so we want to rinse the floor. Anytime we use IFT, we're going to rinse with Squeaky or Game Time Cleaner. Game Time Cleaner is just our Squeaky product in our fast draw unit. So Squeaky has a rinse, 2 to 4 ounces per gallon as well. You can tack with it, or you can put it down through an auto scrubber, clean the floor, remove any of our IFT that might be left residually speaking. Let the floor dry. Oftentimes, by the time you get done with cleaning it, it's already dry. It's getting there. We're going to go to our next step, which is to apply our TyKote. We're going to apply TyKote with a rayon or microfiber mop. In this picture, we are putting it on through a wringer and a mop. That's me doing it. You can use that. You can use a microfiber pad and draw a line down the floor if you want and coat it. It doesn't matter to me how you do it, just as long as you get it around 3,500 square foot per gallon. So you're going to put it thinner than floor finish down. We want a nice thin to win coat. We don't need a whole lot of coating thickness on it because all we're doing is trying to stick to the bottom and stick to the top. That's all its job is. So we're going to apply that coating. They're 3,500 square foot per gallon. Oftentimes you will do it in the way you would do it VCT floor. So you'll block it out. We'll do squares. Go all the way down the gym floor. Sometimes it's best to have a couple people do it. After that is applied, we want to wait about an hour. We have a 6-hour window to apply our finish. So make sure that you apply the TyKote at some point in time when you know you can put the coating down. After 6 hours, you're going to need to reapply TyKote. So, and then we apply our finish, and like I mentioned before, we can use any one of our water-based products. So that includes Street Shoe NXT, which has some specific properties that we'll get into on why you would use that, or Gym Shoe, Player's Choice 1, or Emulsion Pro. So that is, in a nutshell, what Game Plan 1 is. I wanted to go through the system features and benefits real quick for everyone, to do a little bit of a recap as well. The TyKote system features quick and easy process, right? Saves on labor. It's dustless. You're not going to have to clean up a lot. It's very quick, and it builds a deep gloss with no screen marks. So if we don't take off any coating, we already have a decent amount on there, and we can build more. Think of this a lot of times, maybe even like a top scrub and recoat for VCT, where we already have a decent amount on the floor. When we put more on there, we're going to build gloss quickly. So we don't need to put 2 coats quite often. You can. I'm not saying you can't, but most times we only need 1 coat. Some of the benefits, obviously, are you only have to have an auto scrubber. You can, if you want, use a low-speed swing machine, buffer, side-by-side, whatever you want to call it. We can use that as well. Recoat budget is limited. Oftentimes, you don't need as many products, and you only need 1 coat, so that's going to cut half of your chemical budget. And floor time is restricted. You can get on the next day if you use Street Shoe. There's one of the things there. Specific equipment involved, low speed or auto scrubber. That's about it. If you use a low speed, you need a wet dry. And then blue or maroon pads. I prefer maroon pads on pretty much most of the applications that we do nowadays. I really like those types of pads. You can use blue. Maroon's going to give you a little bit of a scratch, which is nice. And it just helps with adhesion if you need. You don't have to have it though. Do change pads. We use the same pad the whole time. And then here, some of our cleaners, we use here all the chemicals involved, and then the basic products. So that is Game Plan 1 for the TyKote system. We're going to jump over to Game Plan 2, scrub and recoat method. This is Betco's take on the easiest way to abrade a floor to get proper adhesion without having to be too aggressive and create too much dust or anything like that. It is specific because it requires specific types of equipment and specific cleaners, as well as specific procedures to do it. So you can do this process, and it's my preferred way to do it nowadays to get the best adhesion possible. We've vetted this process out. It's fairly new to Betco. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years we've been doing this. We've vetted it out before them. The industry has been doing it for a little longer than that. When to use this system? We want to use this system when we have orbital scrubbers. Orbital scrubbers that have 110 pounds of head pressure or more to give us the correct amount of down pressure. When we have a limited time or limited knowledge in how to coat gym floors. This process is even easier than the previous process we talked about. It is essentially making sure that you follow procedures that are written down and running an auto scrubber. It doesn't really get too hairy until you get the T-bar in your hand. You can do this process in 1 day as well. I'm going to go through some of the procedures for it as well. Again, dust mop, get the topical stuff off the floor first. We are going to again use IFT or intensive floor treatment through the orbital this time as well at 4 ounces per gallon. We want to set that head pressure at a minimum of 110 pounds per pressure. You can use more. All it does is help with our cut. I have no problem with that. I know the Genesis have higher head pressures. We've used it on the 2nd and 3rd settings, I believe, if I'm the chemical guy and I'm the equipment guy. So I think that would work. That works as well. You just want to make sure we have that correct head pressure. We're going to use a maroon pad specifically in this case. So IFT 4 ounces per gallon, orbital scrubber 110 head pressure or higher, and then a maroon pad. And the next twist on this is we're going to run that maroon pad 450 square foot per pad, flipping halfway between. So we get about 450 square foot per pad, and around 200 to 225 square foot, flip that pad, put it back down, and continue with the auto scrubber. And when you've gone the next 250, remove the pad, put a new pad on. All this we're doing while the auto scrubber vacuum is down. So we're not leaving any solution on the floor. We're making sure we're getting a very good clean and scratch on the floor by changing out those pads more frequently. This system wouldn't work as well if you just put a maroon pad on there and did the whole gym with a maroon pad. There you will get failures or possible failures because we're just not getting any scratch on the floor. One of the things you'll see in the video that I like to instruct people to do is map out where you're gonna flip your pads. So set them out all throughout the gym floor, and then that will give your workers the ability to remember, hey, it's time for me to put the new pad on. Basically, this square footage is down the gym floor once, flip it down the gym floor back, change pads. That's kind of the easy way to remember. Not all gyms are the same, but that's generally kind of the way to do it. Because we're using IFT and leaving a little bit of residue on the floor, we do want you to run diluted squeaky or game time cleaner through an auto scrubber, again at 2 to 4 ounces per gallon. You can tack instead as well. Either one is fine with me. Just as long as we get that residue off the floor. We don't want any of that alkalinity on the floor. It can cause issues like maybe getting a little fish eyes, maybe some peeling issues, things like that. So always rinse after using IFT. Then standard rules apply. We're going to use a T-bar and put any one of our sport floor finishes down. It says here 2 coats may be needed to hide abrasion marks. I've done quite a few of these with just 1 coat. It's dealer's choice in terms of 1 or 2 coats. I've put it down. It's been pretty good. If you tend to have times where there's areas where you've run it dry, you might want to have put 2 coats down. But for the most part, 1 coat has been fine. That is scrub and recoat. An overview here, same thing. Same thing for as TyKote with Game Plan 2. On our brochure, we have it outlined in the quick steps here for what the features are. Obviously, very quick and simple process. It's really running the auto scrubber and remembering our procedures. If you remember those procedures, you're going to have quite a bit of success. Recommended application. We obviously have to have an orbital of some sort to be able to do this process. Pressure is specific, and orbitals have been what we've seen to work the best. If your staff has limited wood knowledge, if they know how to run an auto scrubber and follow directions, they should be able to do this until you put the finish on the floor there. Excuse me. Orbital scrubbers and wet dry vacs, you don't have that. Maroon pad is the only one we're going to go with here. Our cleaners are going to be IFT and game time cleaner or squeaky. Remember, game time cleaner being the fast, strong squeaky. And then any one of our basic excuse me, coating products. Before I move on into some of the products and things after the 2 game plans, before I move on to that, I wanted to talk about procedures and make a quick point on ways to coat gym floors. I've worked with plenty of customers, and I know that there are more than 2 ways to coat gym floors. There are plenty of different products and different systems that will provide a scratch on the gym floor that is applicable for adhesion. We have these 2 are just the ones that we've qualified, that we stand behind, that know. I know that there are ways to do gym floors a bunch of different other ways. If you're curious or concerned if we would stand by those types, or if you want to know if your process is correct, you can do couple different things. Talk to your sales representative. They can talk to me, and we can talk about it offline. Another way is you can do a small area and do a little adhesion test with some tape and a knife. Draw a little X in the floor on the coating and pull it up and see if you get proper adhesion. If you are, then you know that you're creating a good enough scratch to get the coating to stick. And really, that's all we're trying to do at this point in time. But I wanted to just kind of talk about how there are other ways to skin. Okay, we'll jump into Sport Zone finishes overview. This is just a high-level look at the 4 products in our line. Again, I want to reiterate that all of our products are now just water-based products. We have some tools and things to move people away from oil-based to water-based, but when oil prices went crazy, oil was already kind of sort of slowly going away. We decided to stick with just water-based and lead from there. All of our products can be water-based and they can broken into two different applications. Two component would be the two on the right there, and then our one component products on the left. And the way this goes is from left to right, we're going to talk about the performance increases as well as the durability, but as well as the cost. So you're going to pay a little more for street shoe that you're going to pay for gym shoe that you're going to pay for Player's Choice and Moser Pro. So what's an easy way to pick one from the other? Down there at the left side of the screen, we have an amber and a clear option, but it's good for elementary schools, middle schools, for places that are very budget conscious, that can't really afford the very high dollar products, or don't want to, for that matter. They're going to do a good job, but over the course of a year or two, you're going to start to see the wear and basically the loss and maybe some scuffing. We jump into gym shoe, which is for high school, higher viz floors, things like that. It has excellent durability as well in its class. And then our top line, our franchise player here, is street shoes, been around for a while. It has some good features. It has best in class performance. If you know that a store or a floor is going to not be recoated for 2 years, probably your best bet. It has some technology in it as well, and it's perfect for your high profile products. We're going to get into some specifics on what these our two component products do, and how do you choose between the two different ones. I mean, if cost is not one thing that you want to choose on, then there are a couple other things. First and foremost, Street Shoe NXT has technology in it that it is 90% cured in 24 hours, which means that we have a code today, play tomorrow moniker on it, where if you want to get on that floor the next day or two, your best option is to spend the extra money and get that performance where you can get on the floor the next day and not worry about early wear, black marking, things like that. Dries considerably fast to touch, 2 to 3 hours, depending on the environment. If you're in Florida in the summer, it's obviously going to take a lot longer than if you're in Denver in the summer, right? It's going to dry differently in different conditions. Both of these will dry about the same as well. It is the industry standard for durability. You're going to get 20% more than gym shoe for durability, which means it's going to hold that gloss longer. So if you have floors that you know are going to be recoated every 2 years or something, this is your best bet. Gym shoe, conversely, has equal to or better durability than most all of our competition out there in the market space today. So it is no slouch in terms of durability, comparatively speaking, but street shoe has always been that flagship Cadillac product for us to give that extra durability. A couple of things I'll talk about for Pot Life and two component products. If you're not familiar, I'll touch on it a little bit, but for this discussion, it's not really germane. We're adding an external catalyst to the product to really ramp up that durability. That catalyst is only going to be in that product or effective for 24 hours. That's much better than the industry. Both of our products are 24-hour pot life, meaning you can clean the floor, coat it, let's say at 5 o'clock in the afternoon after you've done anything and you want to put a second coat down, put the top on everything, go home, come back in the morning, and just pour that product out and put another coat on. You don't have to recatalyze, you don't have to throw it away. It's still good for 24 hours, so it's good that next day. You don't have to throw it away. Both of our products can be recatalyzed once. After that, they get soft enough that probably not best to try to recatalyze it again. And then lastly, this is for all of our sportswear products and also all products in the marketplace, just the way the polyurethanes are formulated and developed. We have a 1-year shelf life on them. It's important to know that after 1 year, the things that make the foam die down and make it wet and spread out tend to start to get separate, squeezed out of solution, things like that. Think of your salad dressing in your refrigerator and it starts to layer. When that happens, it's hard to reincorporate it, and you're going to get finish issues like streaking and, more importantly, fish eyes after over a year or so. So if you have a P5 sitting in the back of the closet for 3 years and you want to put it down, I would not recommend it. Talk to your sales rep or talk to me, and we can help you with that. One last thing with both of these two component products, people that have been with Betco for a while will know this. We have added 2 new SKUs or reverted back to our old SKUs, which are the pail and box SKUs, which means as of April, when you order street shoe or gym shoe, you're going to order it as an old Betco SKU, which would be for this one 16640500, and that's going to give you the pail in a box, which means you're going to get a box that has the catalyst and the pail in it as one. So we don't have to worry about shipping each the catalyst. We don't have to worry about losing catalyst, anything like that. It's all coming as one for both gym shoe and street shoe. That's something that we moved to this year, and we're hoping that it'll be received well. Those are our 2-component products. I'll jump to our 1-component products. To start off with the benefits, it's easy to use, right? You don't have to worry about what I just talked about with the catalyst products of how to add it. If your workers remember to add it, if they don't add it, it's not going to be very durable. It's not going to worry about pot life. You can use these no matter what for a whole year. So there's much more ease of use in this regard. There's no waste, meaning if you catalyze something and then you waited too long and you catalyze again, you still got some left, you got to throw it away. You don't have to worry about that. It's very easy to use. It's an easy oil to water conversion. So Emulsion Pro specifically is what we designed for. If you have customers that have oil that don't want to use oil anymore, that you're trying to get to use water instead of oil for a myriad of reasons, or they can't get oil anymore, Emulsion Pro is our version to get them to help switch. It has a cost price point that's pretty close to oil these days, depending on where it's going to go this summer. We've seen that gap lessening. Remember, you're going to get more coverage rate out of a water-based product than an oil, so that'll change that'll be a little more in your favor when you're moving water-based as well. It's got a nice amber color, so you're going to see the same type of look of an oil-based than a water-based, or than like an oil-based product as well. Remember that it is amber, so if you have specific game lines that are white, they're going to amber those as well. Low VOC in the fact that it can be sold everywhere in the country and in Canada, obviously 275 and below, and there's a lot of ones that can't be set. So it's VOC compliant in all the states and in Canada. Player's Choice 1 is our clear version of this. This is a water white product. It's excellent chemical resistance, easy to maintain, goes down very well. It's basically Emulsion Pro without any of the tinting, so or any of the color. It's going to give you a nice clear finish. It's also 1 component, so all these things stand the same. And for both of these, they have a little better price point for you and your customers. All right, I'm going to touch on TyKote real quick here. We talked about it before. What TyKote is, it ties in one coating to another. So it is our bonding agent to bond to existing coatings and our new water-based top coat on top. Don't try to use an oil-based because it won't work. Dries in 1 hour, and you need to recoat it within that 6-hour window, or else it kind of deactivates on you. You want to reapply. You simply just have to reapply the product. It's not that much of an issue, but it is another step. It's very easy to apply, mop and bucket or microfiber. I have customers that pour a line down and 2 people use microfibers going back and forth. Very thin to win, 3,500 square foot per gallon, low odor. And in the end of the day, labor aside, it's going to cost you 1 to 2 cents per square foot to use this product. So it's not a big hurdle in terms of chemically speaking to use TyKote going forward. One thing I do want to mention to TyKote is it is not a wear layer coating. So if you put this down and expect 2 things, one, that I'll just use it for a couple weeks until I can get my wood floor finish on it. It's not going to wear very well. It's going to grab dirt. It's going to scuff and scratch. It's going to be a little tacky actually as well. So this is not a top coat layer. 2, it doesn't really add much. There is a little bit of solids to this, around 10% or so. So you're going to get a little bit of film build, but nothing anywhere near to speak of. Put it down at 3,500 square foot, and it has 10% solids. The amount of film on the floor is negligible compared to we're putting down 30 to 35% coatings with a T-bar that have 1 mil dry thickness. We're going to have it's not going to really be considered like a 2-coat system. That's okay. So that's TyKote. We'll jump over to our cleaners real quick. I want to start with IFT. What I said before, it is a highly solvented alkaline product, which works very well on black heel marks, which is the reason for it. It's going to help pull black heel marks and scuffs off the floor. But because of that alkalinity, we're going to have some issues with coating or just leaving residue that'll turn to a whitish powder that's gonna kind of eat away at the appearance of the floor. So we want to remove that product with squeaky game time cleaner type products. One other use for IFT is during let's say the middle of a sports season or something, and the gym floor is starting to get have some film on it or get dirty, or you just want like a good interim cleaning. Put IFT in your auto scrubber, clean really well with IFT. It's going to pull up all of that, let's say haze or perspiration or stuff that we haven't been doing on routine maintenance, getting it up off the floor, and then going back over to squeaky. So use it as an interim type of cleaner. I get this question a lot during the basketball season, and how to kind of spruce up the floor a little bit. Squeaky or fast draw unit game time cleaner. Like I said before, think of this as a glass cleaner on steroids. This stuff works very, very well. Leaves no residue. I would suggest you use this in your home. We have a very good home market for it as well. This stuff won't leave any haze. It's going to clean up, gentle on the floors, and using over and over again. I would ask that you use it to tack the floors. I understand that the real world, we're going to use auto scrubbers on the floor. If you do, I would ask to use the lowest or the least aggressive pad. So if you can put a microfiber pad on your auto scrubber, do. If not, use a white pad. If not, go ahead and use a red pad. But my suggestion is the lightest the better. Because we had such a film build with these polyurethanes, they have a tendency to show scratches and scuffs more than, say, a VCT floor. So, and they're not repairable like VCT, right? They're considerably harder. So to not leave haze, to not get straggles on there from aggressive pads it will help your floor keep its gloss longer. That's all of our products I'm going to talk about today. I want to jump in real quick and have a slide to talk about the Betco Gym Show event. It's something that we did last year to a lot of good fanfare. What it is we're going to provide a comprehensive training and sales tools for multiple end users to show them what systems we have, what products we have, how to use them, and then what they can do and how to make their gym floors look. It's much easier. It's a hands-on type of thing. Depending on opportunities, I've gone to quite a few of them. We have a lot of sales representation that's very good at this as well. I suggest if you're distributors to get with your sales rep and talk about doing one of these this summer. And then if you're an end user, you have gyms, talk to your distribution to see how you can get into doing all your gym floors, how you get a gym floor. What we do is provide chemical and some expertise to a small or medium gym. We like to be around 6,000 square foot. We'll put down whatever product in our line that you are interested in. If you're interested in Emulsion Pro, we'll put that down. If you're interested in Street Shoe, we'll put that down for you. We'll show you how to do it, and then we'll also cross-train on other Betco lines. You want to learn about fast straw, you want to learn about equipment, you want to learn about our skincare lines. All of that will be around and available. I have a lot of experts there for that as well. It's also an opportune time to check out your other floors. I've been to some where we've had we did the gym floor, but there was the whole entire inside part of the school was terrazzo floors. We talked about how to clean and maintain terrazzo floors and types of products you can use for their terrazzo, stone tile and grout carpet, or just VCT as well. If you're interested in any of this stuff, please contact your Betco sales rep, and they'll get it moved in and get a gym floor out for you. Okay, that is all I have for now. We'll get questions.
Wow, what a great information and a lot of information, Micah. Thank you. All right, we got a few questions up here. First one, which pad choice should be used to scrub the floor with IFT?
Okay, so depending on what process you're doing, if we are just cleaning the floor, I don't know when this came in. So if we're just cleaning the floor, white or red pad. If we want to clean the floor with the TyKote system, then I would suggest using a blue or a maroon pad. Because we're going to coat the floor, we can get a little more aggressive with our pad system. So blue or maroon. And obviously, if we're using the orbital in the maroon or in the scrub Recoat Game Plan 2, we're going to use it on maroon.
All right. Valerie said she had a company named Squeaky Clean. So yeah, this is a great product, and I do use it at home. And then also, can we get a copy of this video? Yes, we are recording this, and it will be up if you go to the Betco website to the training section, Betco U Online, and there are some phenomenal videos there on the different processes which Mike had talked about today. So please be sure to check that out, plus all the other training modules we have there on that website. So we went a little bit over today. I think that's it on questions. If you have more questions, please get with your regional sales director. And as well, if you'd be interested in doing a gym show, it's a great way to learn, and it's a great way to showcase a gym. So with that, we're going to sign off. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will catch up to you soon.
Thank you.